Tembu, the boy, opened his eyes in the dark and wondered if his father was ready to leave the hut on his nightly errand. There was no moon that night, and the deathly stillness of the surrounding jungle was broken only occasionally by the shrill cry of a cicada. Sometimes, from far off, came the hollow hammering of a woodpecker, carried along on the faint breeze, or the grunt of a wild boar that could be heard as he dug up a favorite root. But these sounds were rare, and the silence of the forest always returned to swallow them up. Baldeo, the watchman, was awake. He stretched himself slowly, unwinding the heavy shawl that covered him. It was close on midnight, and the chill air made him shiver. The station, a small shack backed by heavy jungle, was a station in name only, for trains only stopped there, if at all, for a few seconds before entering the deep cutting that led to the tunnel. Most trains merely slowed down before taking the sharp curve before cutting. Baldeo was responsible for signaling whether or not the tunnel was clear of obstruction, and his manual signal stood before the entrance. At night, it was his duty to see that the lamp was burning and that the overland mail passed through safely. "Shall I come too, father?" asked Embu sleepily, still lying in a huddle in the corner of the hut. "No, it is cold tonight. Do not get up." Tembu, who was 12, did not always sleep with his father at the station, for he had also to help in the home where his mother and small sister were usually alone. They lived in a small tribal village on the outskirts of the forest, about 3 miles from the station. These small rice fields did not provide them with more than a bare living, and Baldeo considered himself lucky to have the job of Khalasi at this small wayside signal stop. Still drowsy, Baldeo groped for his land in darkness and then fumbled about in search of matches. When he had produced a light, he left the hut, closed the door behind him, and set off along the permanent way. Tembu had fallen asleep again. At midnight, Baldeo goes out of his hut into the thick forest. The jungle is full of dangerous animals, but Baldeo has a job to do, and it is important. Baldeo wondered whether the lamp on the signal post was still alight. Gathering his shawl closer about him, he stumbled on, sometimes along the rails, sometimes along the ballast. He longed to get back to his warm corner in the hut. The eeriness of the place was increased by the neighboring hills, which overhung the main line threateningly. On entering the cutting with its sheer rock walls towering high above the rails, Baldeo could not help thinking about the wild animals he might encounter. He had heard many tales of the famous tunnel tiger, a man-eater which was supposed to frequent the spot. He hardly believed the stories, for since his arrival at this place a month ago, he had not seen or even heard a tiger. There had, of course, been panthers, and only a few days ago the villagers had killed one with their spears and axes. Baldeo had occasionally heard the sawing of a panther calling to its mate, but they had not come near the tunnel or the shed. Baldeo walked confidently. For being a tribal himself, he was used to the jungle and its ways. Like his forefathers, he carried a small axe, fragile to look at, but deadly when in use. He prided himself in his skill in wielding it against wild animals. He had killed a young boar with it once, and his family had feasted on the flesh for 3 days. The axe head, of pure steel, thin but ringing true like a bell, had been made by his father over a charcoal fire. This axe was a part of himself, and wherever he went, be it to the local market 7 miles away or to a tribal dance, the axe was always in his hand. Occasionally, an official who had come to the station had offered him good money for the weapon, but Baldeo had no intention of parting with it. The cutting carved sharply, and in the darkness, the black entrance to the tunnel looked up menacingly. The signal light was out. Baldeo set to work to haul the lamp down by its chain. If the oil had finished, he would have to return to the hut for more. The mail train was due in 5 minutes. Once more he fumbled for his matches. Then suddenly he stood still and listened. The frightened cry of a barking deer, followed by a crashing sound in the undergrowth, made Baldeo hurry. There was still a little oil in the lamp, and after an instant's hesitation, he lit the lamp again and hoisted it into position. Having done this, he walked quickly down the tunnel, swinging his own lamp so that the shadows leapt up and down the soot-stained walls, and having made sure that the line was clear, he returned to the entrance and sat down to wait for the mail train.